Comedians across the entire nation stood up to roast Trump and Elon Musk. It's gonna get insane. Let's unpack this.
Using tariffs on Mexico and Canada on Tuesday, President Trump reversed them on Thursday. It's a cunning political tactic experts call bipolar disorder. President Trump said the tariff on goods from Canada is to stop the flow of fentanyl, even though last year only 40 pounds of the drug was seized at the northern border. 40 pounds? What's that, like 2 buttfuls?
It happens. Comedians on the complete world are waking up and started to roast Trump and his circus. The first part, Trump really woke up on Tariff Tuesday and switched to Nevermind Thursday. The man's economic strategy has all the consistency of a toddler's mood at a birthday party, and his logic, oh, it's flawless. Apparently 40 pounds of fentanyl at the northern border is a national crisis. That's like the weight of an average golden retriever, or as the comedian delicately put it, about 2 buttfuls. Scientific units, folks.
The new one is, President Trump has ceded the presidency to Elon Musk. No, that's not happening. But Elon's done an amazing job. Isn't it nice to have smart people that we can rely on?
Yeah, of course it's not what it seems like. Just picture it. 2 of the world's richest men rage scrolling through X and realizing they've become the internet's favorite piñatas. Trump's face went full cherry tomato, and Elon? He probably considered launching himself into orbit just to escape the memes. The comedians? Oh, they ate. No censors, no chill. Just flamethrowers set to humiliate. And the best part? These 2 fragile titans took it exactly how you'd expect. Like middle schoolers at a roast battle they weren't ready for. It wasn't just bad. It was dumpster fire meets quarterly earnings report bad.
Constantly seek criticism. A well thought out critique of whatever you're doing is as valuable as gold. And you should seek that from everyone you can, but particularly your friends.
Trump addressed a joint session of Congress and claimed that no president has changed government faster than him. Yeah, and nobody changed airport security faster than bin Laden. President Trump also said that he signed an executive order to ban men from playing in women's sports. But if men aren't allowed to play women's sports, explain soccer.
So Musk says criticism is golden, but the minute someone tweets Elon looks like a failed robot trying to understand emotions, he reports it for cyberbullying. Trump, meanwhile, declares he's reshaped government faster than any president in history, which is true if you count turning it into a circus tent with Wi-Fi. Oh, and the whole banning men in women's sports stunt. Classic distraction technique, because nothing screams a leader of the free world like picking fights with college swimmers while pretending you're fixing anything. Before we keep going, hit that like button like it's Trump's tax records. And subscribe, because what's coming next? Even we didn't believe it. Trump and Elon, 2 men rich enough to buy the internet, somehow got turned into memes, punchlines, and walking ego bruises. You'd think being billionaires came with armor, but nope. Apparently it's just baby's first feelings spritzed in Tom Ford. All it took was a few comedians with high-speed Wi-Fi and Twitter fingers, and suddenly these self-declared geniuses were throwing tantrums like toddlers who just learned what sarcasm is.
Tesla CEO and white Kanye, Elon Musk, wore a suit instead of a jacket and t-shirt to this week's cabinet meeting after President Trump made fun of his clothing. It's a refreshing reminder that bullying still works.
So Elon Musk, yes, tech messiah turned Twitter landlord, actually put on a suit because Trump made fun of his outfit. Let's just pause here. We're living in a world where the richest man alive is taking fashion tips from a guy who thinks orange spray tan is a skin tone. And apparently, bullying works. Someone called the school counselors. The billionaires are spiraling. Meanwhile, Trump reacted with the elegance of a bull in a Chanel store. Within hours, Truth Social turned into a caps lock war zone, like your uncle on Facebook after 2 Coors Lights and a Sean Hannity rerun. This is Trump's crisis playbook. Pretend the joke didn't happen. Claim it's not funny. Blame Hillary. Randomly mention wind turbines. It's honestly art, in the way a toddler with finger paint thinks he's Picasso.
Because now it feels like Elon Musk is just like scrambling, making it up as he goes along, which I get. You've spent $44 billion for a company that most people say shouldn't be more than worth like 20-something billion. You're gonna scramble, you know? And he's trying everything. What's amazing to me is like what's happening with Elon Musk is a wonderful microcosm to show you how much or how quickly people will abandon what they say is a principle when things aren't going their way, you know? So one of the first things Elon said when he took over was like, comedy is now legal on Twitter. And he was like, it's time for free speech, time for comedy, time for people to actually have fun on Twitter again. And then what people started doing was they started changing their names to Elon Musk.
And Elon, oh sweet, painfully online. Elon, the man spent $44 billion just to rename Twitter after a Scrabble tile, and now he's speedrunning every bad CEO trope in Silicon Valley history. One day it's free speech for all. The next, he's banning people for pretending to be him. You can almost hear the brain cells short-circuiting. He said comedy was legal again, and then the internet tested that theory by turning into a giant improv class at Elon's expense. Spoiler, he hated it. He's like if Iron Man quit saving the world to start a podcast about why comedy should only apply to his jokes. A comic says maybe launching a rocket doesn't make you Aristotle, and Elon flops harder than his Cybertruck's bulletproof glass. He took the bait so fast, it's like someone whispered ego into a Tesla and it just crashed itself into Twitter HQ, but the comedians are far from over.
This is the whitest foreigner I've ever met.
He is.
This is my love goes out to you. I'm sorry, I'm autistic. I'm autistic. I didn't know what this is. So much for my show at the kids' school.
Yep, that happened. A comic delivers a jaw-dropping roast, and Elon's response? Not a thoughtful clapback, not wit, a meme, and not even a good one. Just some chaotic JPEG energy with all the comedic timing of a fax machine. Because when your billion-dollar intellect short circuits, you panic post and let your fanboys do the cleanup. And the irony. These guys were supposed to be visionaries, industry titans, men of the future, but when someone says their hair looks like it was cut by a blindfolded intern on a sugar crash, suddenly they're behaving like 13-year-olds losing a Fortnite match. This isn't Silicon Valley Genius Hour. It's more like Ego Olympics, starring two emotionally unstable wallets with Twitter access.
Blair, I want you to roast mercilessly Elon Musk.
Elon, you're like a self-driving Tesla. Obscenely expensive, prone to crashing, and perpetually promising features that never quite materialize. You tweet about colonizing Mars while simultaneously struggling to manage a social media platform. You call yourself a free speech absolutist, but ban critics faster than a Tesla accelerates from 0 to 60. You claim to be a champion of innovation, yet your most notable achievements involve rebranding existing technologies and making questionable business decisions.
Honestly, that roast, it wasn't even nuclear. It was lightly toasted, the kind of insult you'd throw out after one margarita at a rooftop party. Harmless, cheeky, barely even sharp. But for guys like Trump and Elon, who live off applause like it's oxygen, that was DEFCON 1. To them, any mockery equals sign betrayal. A stand-up set becomes an act of war, and a joke on a Tuesday night. Suddenly, it's the Cuban Missile Crisis in their mentions. So what happens when two grown men worth more than some countries get roasted by someone making beer money and drink tickets? You laugh. Because it turns out money can buy a lot of things. Rockets, elections, ego fluffers, but it can't buy a sense of humor. Or that precious thing called dignity. And chill? Forget about it. These dudes couldn't stay calm if their Teslas came with built-in therapy apps. This wasn't just a roast. It was a full-on public unraveling. A cautionary tale with punchlines. A reminder that when your whole identity is one giant unpoppable balloon of ego, it only takes one comedian to poke a hole. And boom, you're confetti at a pride parade. Trump and Elon strutted into the internet like they owned it. And sure, one of them literally did. The other just screamed loud enough to convince people he did. But when two of the richest, most criticism-phobic men alive get slapped by a few well-timed jokes, they don't laugh. They don't reflect. They implode. Like off-brand rockets and reality TV campaigns that never made it past Iowa.
After President Trump spent last week defending our historical best friend, Russia, Trump turned this week to attacking our sworn enemy, Canada. That's right, those syrup-guzzling, poutine-munching, moose-humping hockey sluts have taken advantage of us far too long.
Ah yes, Trump logic 101, defend Putin, attack Putin. 1 week he's cozying up to Russia like they just swapped friendship bracelets. The next, he's beefing with Canada. You know, the terrifying land of maple syrup, polite healthcare, and moose. What's next? War with Denmark over Legos. And where did this masterclass in unhinged diplomacy begin? You guessed it. On X, the platform formerly known as Twitter, now known as Elon's digital sandbox for ego-fueled meltdowns. It all started when a few comedians, clearly unaware that satire is now a punishable offense in billionaire world, dared to crack some jokes. Nothing vicious, just a little roast on two men who love the spotlight but crumble the second someone aims it at them. Now Trump, likely doom-scrolling from his gold-plated toilet, sipping a Diet Coke like it's holy water, caught wind of a joke about his tan, his tiny hands, or that weird thing he does when speaking like he's conducting a tiny invisible orchestra, and he snapped. Cue the all caps posts. Classic Trump, because what says "I'm not bothered" better than a multi-paragraph meltdown calling the comic a washed up loser while claiming you don't even know who they are? Sure, Don, you wrote a 300-word essay on a stranger you definitely don't care about. Totally normal behavior.
In the time that I've been here, I've been following the presidential race, and I've noticed that a few pieces of conventional wisdom have formed around the candidates. None more than with Donald Trump.
6 in 10 Americans believe Trump is unqualified to serve as president.
He's not qualified to be president.
Unfit to be president.
Unfit to be commander-in-chief.
The Des Moines Register writing that Trump is, quote, not only unfit to hold office, but unfit to stand on the same stage as his Republican opponents.
He's unfit for that stage? No, that stage is unfit for Trump. There's no marble, there's no gold. Where are the women in bikinis?
And just when you thought it couldn't get sadder, it does. The press, the polls, the late night monologues, they've all formed a very clear consensus. Trump is about as qualified to run a country as he is to run a charity, or a state company, or a university. Honestly, that debate stage isn't unfit for Trump. Trump is unfit for gravity. The man's built like a bloated Sims character who keeps glitching into conspiracy mode. Meanwhile, at Tesla Tower, Elon's PR department was on DEFCON 3. Why? Because someone had the audacity to roast the Cybertruck by pointing out that it looks like something a 6-year-old drew with a ruler and a sugar high. Elon, self-proclaimed king of free speech, suddenly decided that comedy has gone too far. Ironic, considering this is the guy who said, comedy is now legal on Twitter. Until it's about him, then it's treason. And his comeback? Oh, just a vintage GIF from 2018 and a caption in cryptic tech bro code like he's trying to hack feelings. You can smell the insecurity. Somewhere in Twitter HQ, an engineer was probably being woken up at 2 a.m. and told code the word bald out of the algorithm. Here's the real kicker. Comedy has always punched up. Kings, queens, popes, they all got dragged in sonnets, sketches, and smoky nightclubs. But Trump and Elon, they act like they're immune, like they live in some untouchable realm of power and pity, until a stand-up comic with a mic reminds them, you're not special, you're just loud, and that drives them insane. Trump built his brand on pretending he's the alpha, the richest, smartest, sexiest man in every room, a living Greek statue. Unfortunately, the receipts and the rest of us disagree loudly.
The complaint about Trump is that he's unpresidential, and it stems from certain statements that he's made.
When Mexico sends its people, they're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people.
And you know what they say, when you assume, you're the best at assuming. Trump. I know these comments about immigrants were upsetting to some people, but for me, as an African, there's just something familiar about Trump that makes me feel at home.
This is what happens when a man with no filter and even less empathy gets handed a microphone and a title. Trump says the quiet part loud and then wonders why people keep calling him unpresidential. It's like a guy yelling at a squirrel and wondering why no one takes him seriously as a wildlife expert. Every time a comedian drags him, it shatters that fragile mirror of alpha illusion he stares into every morning, and he reacts like someone slapped him with a mirror. Suing reality for defamation at this point wouldn't be surprising. And what does Trump do when that ego gets bruised? He melts down. He doesn't get even. He doesn't laugh. He rage posts like an MLM mom denied entry to Costco without a membership. Suddenly, comedians are the enemy of the people. Satire is liberal propaganda, and anyone with a mic becomes a national threat. Meanwhile, over in Elon land, the strategy is different, but no less cringe. He tries to combat jokes with weird tech bro brain fog, like if Reddit grew legs and got a multi-billion-dollar divorce. His version of owning the haters is posting something like Cringe Matrix 5.8, 5 rebooting irony core LOL, and thinking he's delivered a masterclass in trolling. Spoiler, he hasn't. He sounds like a broken AI trying to explain why his feelings are valid. Because here's the thing, the internet smells fear, and when Trump or Elon flinch, it only fuels the fire. 1 roast, 10 more follow, 1 meme, 30 reaction videos. It's like trying to stop a forest fire by tweeting at it. And the comedians, oh, they double down because they know the algorithm of power. The bigger the ego, the harder the fall. And watching these two spiral is like comedy gold mining on easy mode. It's not just punching up, it's launching a tactical airstrike on Mount Everest.
Kevin Shitch. I'm here with Kevin, Keenan, and we have Kamala, the KKK, great people, 3Ks. The great people, we love them a lot. The 3Ks, they're my favorite Ks. But I will tell you that if anybody knows, if this was at Mar-a-Lago, I would have won so big and so fast. It's not even funny. Thank you very much. Let's see if Peacock will air that.
I don't know who that is.
Both Trump and Musk want to be seen as warriors in the culture war. Trump, the slayer of woke, Elon, the messiah of free speech. But the second someone makes fun of their spray tan or spaceship on training wheels truck, they collapse faster than a crypto startup during tax season. Suddenly, they're not defenders of truth, they're influencers having a full-blown meltdown over a stand-up set. And let's not forget the hypocrisy. Elon, the guy who promised Twitter us would be a free speech utopia, now personally oversees which jokes make it through the filter. He's not defending liberty, he's micromanaging memes. Trump, the insult comic turned politician who's mocked everyone from Rosie O'Donnell to wind turbines, suddenly discovers the concept of civility the moment someone compares his tan to aged cheddar. It's hilarious and tragic. The two loudest men on the internet can dish it out daily, but crumble when the internet claps back. Their sense of humor, about as sturdy as a wet tissue during a Florida hurricane. They want to be remembered like legends of old, roasted like icons, but they fall apart like soufflés under pressure. And no, their fan bases don't help. Trump's followers go full medieval court jester, shrieking fake news like they're allergic to comedy. Elon's fanboys, bless them, try to explain every joke away with, well, actually, that's disruption, as if that Cybertruck meme is going to trigger a global tech revolution. Relax, Chad, it's a truck with a geometry problem. But here's the real kicker. If your empire can't survive a joke, see, if your identity collapses because someone mocked your product, or your hairline, or your weird obsession with rocket-shaped metaphors, maybe the real joke was you and your branding. But the comedians are still not done.
I feel like Trump would be exactly the same even if he spoke Arabic. It would be like the same thing. It would be like,
It's honestly true. You could run Trump's speeches through any language on earth and they'd still come out sounding like a malfunctioning hotel manager yelling at a staff that doesn't exist. Whether it's English, Arabic, or straight up gibberish, the essence of Trump remains. Loud, wrong, and deeply committed to the art of making everything about himself. Because when your personality is just a red tie and a galaxy-sized ego, it really doesn't matter what language you're speaking. The delusion always translates, especially when that ego's live tweeting from a SpaceX tower with spotty Wi-Fi and enough insecurity to crash the cloud. And here's the beauty of it. The more these guys react, the funnier it gets. Every time they try to shut down a joke, 5 more grow in its place. It's like they're fighting satire with gasoline and losing. Trump and Elon have become walking memes, but not the cool, self-aware ones. No, they're the why does this exist kind. The memes you laugh at, cringe at, and then question reality over. These two parade around like they're bulletproof titans, carved from innovation and glory, like they bench press adversity and solve global crises before brunch. But the second someone with a Twitter account and a halfway decent punchline hits them with a roast, they fall apart like stale biscotti at a church potluck. The irony isn't just delicious, it's dipped in gold and hand-delivered by a butler on a jet ski. Trump, who constantly reminds us he's the alpha, gets emotionally KO'd because someone said his tan looks like melted Cheeto dust. Next thing you know, he's writing a manifesto in caps lock on Truth Social like it's his diary.
I have not had an in-person interview with the former president. If I did, I would ask him,
What would you ask? Look at this smirk. What are you going to ask?
Did you know they were going to storm the Capitol, and does that make you a party to an insurrection?
Excuse me. What? You see what he's doing? Do all these people watching, and what you're doing, it's so disgusting, and you know that, because there was no storming. There was no storming. Okay, a lot of people were saying we're going to send him home like a dog. We're going to send him home. Back to China, and that's what they did.
This is the same guy who bragged about staring down dictators. Now he melts into orange pudding every time someone asks about the Capitol riot. He goes from "I alone can fix it" to "I don't know her" faster than you can say indictment. Trump used to fire people on The Apprentice. Now he behaves like someone who got rejected from the show for poor social skills. And Elon, the man who thinks he's Tony Stark with a coupon code, he's just as fragile. Say one thing about the Cybertruck looking like a Minecraft mod gone wrong, and he's retweeting himself like a guy trying to win an argument in his own group chat. One sarcastic tweet about his leadership skills, and suddenly he's posting meme gifs like a Reddit bot with feelings. His idea of free speech: buy the platform, silence the critics, call it innovation. Meanwhile, Tesla catches fire, literally, and he's too busy dunking on comedians from 2013. It's like watching a Bond villain stop world domination plans to argue with the guy running open mic night at Chuckle Hut. But the best part, the tragic, glorious part, is this. Both of these men desperately want to be seen as visionaries. Trump wants to be America's savior. Elon wants to be emperor of Mars. And yet, they both get absolutely dismantled by a roast from a comic and thrift store sneakers, on a stage held together by duct tape, performing for a bartender who's barely paying attention. Here's the truth they can't swallow, and your audience already knows. These guys changed industries, swayed elections, dominated headlines, but they can't survive one well-timed punchline.
What's up, Elon?
What's up, Holmes?
What's up, brother?
Yeah.
What's up?
All right, cool. I'd like to ask you a few questions. So are you a tit man or an ass man? Yeah, really curious.
How are you so retarded but so smart at the same time?
No idea.
Dude, I don't know. I'm an ass guy until the babubas get too big.
I like like on Earth, right? Like I'm an ass man, right? But in space, like I like space boobs.
It's surreal, right? Two men worth more than most small countries, reduced to cosmic boob jokes and frat level banter like it's a podcast run by drunk conspiracy theorists. And yet, this is what gets to them. Not market crashes, not indictments, not exploding Teslas or failed healthcare plans. No. Their Achilles heel, internet comedians, guys with $50 microphones, ring lights from Target, and a free Twitter checkmark from Elon's own crumbling app. It's glorious, because no matter how many jets they buy, or how many staff they fire, or how loudly they scream fake news into the void, they can't handle this. Not satire, not stand-up, not a well-timed joke from someone broadcasting out of their mom's basement with a laptop and an attitude. Trump and Elon, the billionaire alphas, the supposed masterminds of politics and tech, completely fall apart when someone pokes the ego balloon with a tweet. And it's not even that deep. This isn't government exposes or groundbreaking investigations. It's just jokes. And somehow, those hit the hardest. They could have scrolled past, laughed, ignored it, but instead, they pulled the entire sweater apart and blamed the person who knit it. The next time they cry about being canceled, rant about comedy gone too far, or post 20-paragraph manifestos about why a joke hurt their feelings, just remember, power crumbles under punchlines, and no billionaire tantrum will ever erase the fact that right now, somewhere in a dingy comedy club or a viral TikTok, Trump and Elon are the punchline. Again. They'll see it, they'll rage about it, and the cycle will continue, because the one thing they can't control, the one frontier they'll never conquer, is comedy. And comedy is still free. Here you can find the next Trump disaster. Don't say we didn't warn you.